welcome back to another episode of the 15 Debutants of Christmas, where we take a proper look at the new Bombers who stepped onto the AFL stage in 2025. Today, we're diving into Debutant Number 13, a player whose journey back to the AFL level is one veiled in real inner belief. Liam McMahon, our mature-aged mid-season pickup, made his debut under the Marvel Stadium lights in the challenge match against GWS on July 17th. And straight away, he looked comfortable in himself, kicking the 2 goals. He played a total of 7 games this year and finished with 12 goals, so almost 2 a game, which is a great result. I love this quote from him on the eve of his debut. There's actually a photo of me in grade 6 with a chalkboard saying I wanted to be an AFL player when I grew up. Hashtag manifestation. He didn't say that. I added that in. Now back to his quote. Now, I guess I can finally tick that off. I'm just so grateful to this club for believing in me, giving me a second chance at this, and I won't let them down. So, with the help of Todd from the Flight Plan podcast, we're breaking down Liam's year, what makes him such an interesting long-term prospect, and how he can push to cement himself in the forward line next year. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me for the first time in this series. We're going to take a look at Liam McMahon, who's one of 7, you would say, forwards that we have on the list who can rotate down in the forward line as full forward or half forward. How did you see his 7 games? And, firstly, how did you see his 7 games this year?
Oh, very impressive, especially the conversion rate. We spoke about that privately, but we'll go through some stats as this goes on. But just his accuracy in front of goal just stood out so much with a team that was really struggling with that. So it's, and who better to take from a Collingwood draftee and Carlton train on that hopefully he can help seek those guys for the foreseeable future, because I really rate him, and I'm glad he got his opportunity to play in 2026.
Yeah, and it's safe to say he was dominating in the VFL in terms of that conversion, the goal scoring. He won the goal scoring at the end of the year, the leading goal kicker multiple times. He was co-captain of the VFL, Carlton VFL team during his time there. So lots of leadership sign, obviously has really good leadership intuition as well. So I think that's just another layer for him. What does he have to do to cement his spot? Because I've been putting it out to the universe that we're going to have a full healthy list to choose from next year. So he's going to be up against 7 others for the position in the forward line. What does he have to do to be picked every week, or starting with round 1?
Yeah, well, we're going to find out that pretty quickly, aren't we? Right, as of, like you mentioned, hopefully a fully healthy list. But it's just his conversion rate. It's just so valuable in a team even Peter Wright was a bit wonky last year, and he's usually our go-to guy. But Liam McMahon, I had a little bit of stress him coming in, just in terms of how much pressure that not the club, but the outside sort of consensus was that he's a great kick, and I was hoping he wouldn't get overawed by the AFL stage, but he slotted in perfectly. It's just a matter of conversion. I think he'll probably get his opportunity to play first up and see how he goes, because I'm really bullish that this guy can be a very valuable player for us.
So in terms of, do you think that's all? What does he bring that none of the others do? In terms of those 7 others that he's in competition with for the spot?
Yes, interesting. I was going to ask you if you agree with this sort of statement. I think while they're a bit different, I think him and Langford are playing very similar sort of roles, where they play forward, if that's the way that Langford's going to go on, considering he's pretty versatile and there's a bit of a line in that front 50. But it's I think that him and McDonough are pretty similar. Do you agree with that, or is that a bit off the mark?
No, I think they are. They do play that similar role, and they're both aerially quite good. The thing I love about McMahon is that he is his vertical leap. He always gives you an option in the air, even if, and we'll talk about his room for improvement in a bit. But even when he's going to be out-muscled in moments by the defenders around him, he always provides an option aerially. And I think that's really important. And obviously it's a different story about when the ball actually comes to ground, but he's just that classic modern forward, launches at the footy and just gives such a good marking option.
Yeah, and the guy that's similar to me is Brody Mychek from Collingwood. Didn't need him to be a superstar. Just present taking chances, and it's
Yes.
exactly what he did. So, yeah, and similar pathway to him as well, not going the traditional route to get to Essendon, but I think there's some really good similarities between the two. I think Mychek in his prime was really good, probably at the tail end now, but Liam McMahon, I think, can just slot in and play a similar role and just be that workhorse that converts when he gets chances. I think it's a perfect niche for him, and I really hope that Brad Scott from round one gives him the opportunity to do that.
So you think you'd like to see him in round one?
Would love it, yeah, absolutely. What do you think?
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so valuable, those guys that convert. I mean, maybe I'm overstating that a little bit because I'm very much hate it when we miss easy shots, and probably the main culprit of that is Draper, and he's gone now outside of his little stretch at the start of this year. But yeah, it's that
Yeah.
conversion. I just can't stress it enough. I'm obsessed with it. So
Yeah, it's
I was talking to you early in the week about his accuracy. I was really curious as to how it relates to the rest of the AFL.
yeah.
And yeah, looked at Jeremy Cameron average 57.9 accuracy, and he won the Coleman medal, and he absolutely blows him out of the water with 80% scoring accuracy, best in the AFL for his position. And it's just, yeah, it's such an invaluable thing that we missed a large chunks of the season this year, but fully healthy list, that guy can make a real impact, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's a smaller body of work, obviously, for Liam,
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
the stats, but absolutely that reliability. And I think something you touched on that is probably the number one thing for him in that, and for the team. We don't need him to be necessarily Jeremy Cameron. He would be great if he was, but if he can just nail his shots every time he gets the opportunities, launch in the air, provide some aerial targets down there, um, uh, then I think there's a spot for him. Is there anything else that you think he needs to bring in order to just fully make sure Brad Scott knows that he's there and has to pick him?
yeah. Well, I'm not sure how the preseason's going to go, especially yeah, once the games roll around. But I really think he's the perfect foil for Nate Caddy, whereas he's a lot more reliable and that option. Whereas Caddy's explosive and can do things that not a lot of players can. I think they pair up pretty well, and be interesting to see how they approach that, because I think if they train pretty hard together and sort of built that camaraderie of the forward line, I think they can be a really good 1-2 punch going into the next season. And then Peter Wright's the outrider there, and he was good in parts this season. So those three, and we'll talk about Archie May later on, but it's just building that cohesion. It's going to be a really difficult thing to do early on, because considering like there was so much missed footy from all those guys. But I think, yeah, he's a mature guy now, knows how to do it at the VFL level, and I'm sure he's like pretty astute when it comes to setting blocks for his teammates and just competing for the ball. I think it's yeah, really optimistic about what he brings next season.
Yeah, I also feel like he's the kind of really diligent kind of guy who's going to kiss. He's looking really, I know, small sample of body work to judge on so far, but so far at training, he's looking really, really good in terms of his leading patterns when they're doing a bit of match sim. And I have to say that every time he takes the mark, he'll always go for the goal. Like the rest of the team sets back up to reset and go again, but he'll always take the set shot at goal and nails it. Look, pretty much, I think I've seen him miss one in the handful of sessions I've been to. So yeah, we're probably understating that reliability factor. And another one of the forwards that he's going to be competing with for that, who is, I find, a very reliable kick, is Tom Edwards. So
Yes, yeah.
again, another guy that plays really similarly, has a really nice aerial leap. So they're going to be it's going to be a really, hopefully, when we have everyone ready to go, it's that competition for spots is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on it from the start, but I just outside of football context, the actual game, it's so good to hear him and Nick Martin, other guys, Archie Roberts, just so thankful for the club giving him an opportunity. And they just seems to so much cohesion in terms of where this list is going. The mateship out there, teammates, just to have the guys that are like so understanding of what Essendon's done for them in terms of giving an opportunity when no one else would. Yeah, it's not lost on me as a fan. I'm sure you agree with that. And it's just, yeah, it's just good to see some passion finally coming back after it was a pretty stale period for a decade or so where we just weren't showing that out on the field. And yeah, I think
Mm.
it's going to be, yeah, interesting.
That's a great
That's the
word.
first one. Yeah.
That's a great word, stale. Like it
Yeah.
felt, I don't know, there's a few of these, actually a good chunk of these boys that I just feel like they're just dying to to represent and be part of the SAP. Like you just get that. They're obsessed about winning a premiership in the red and black. And that's what I love. And with Liam, there's that extra layer of, I always like to talk about the mental mindset part of the game, and there's that extra layer of perseverance for him. You didn't see any sulking or victim mentality from his time at Collingwood. Very short stint, he didn't get a game, but then at Carlton, he didn't eventually obviously make it. They didn't pick him up in any of the periods that they had a chance to, even though he was dominating their VFL. And so I don't know. These little signs are all, I mean, he's 23, I believe. Yes, 23. So he has that little bit extra bit of maturity, but he's still a baby, like in terms of, emotional development, especially for boys, men. So I just like these little signs that are all going to cultivate together to really show someone with resilience down the track when it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost in direct contrast to how AFL players approach the media right now, isn't it? I mean, they're so robotic with their answers and don't want to give too much
Yeah.
away. It's all like 1 week at a time and all that, all that crap. But yeah, I love it. And I know you love it too. Just even if it's just 1% tweak of performance wise, just the passion is just infectious. And it's a shame because I thought Draper was pretty close to our spiritual leader in that sense, and he's moved on. But yeah, it's good to see so much passion from these guys, and yeah, hopefully it all carries over to the next season. I mean, him and Tom Edwards, and even Harry Jones to an extent, and missed some chunks of footy, and it's just going to be great to see them healthy, hopefully, and yeah, competing for spots.
All right, let's head over to the Santa segment now. What is one thing that you want Santa to bring Liam McMahon for Christmas in order for Liam to take his game to the next level in 2026 and force his way into the side and stay there?
Geez, that's a good question. You just want him to just take on what he's done so far of this season, and then just try and replicate that. I'm not sure that works, but you talk about the leading patterns and stuff. I would say that's the gift you'd be after, just to build that cohesion between teammates, and then just continue to attack the ball in the air. And I think the ultimate gift for him probably is making an impact when the ball hits the deck more so than anything else. It'll make him very versatile, very handy forward if he can do that. And the signs are looking good. I think he's looked great over the preseason, and obviously just a consummate professional, and which is great to see at Essendon after a few years as well without that. But yeah, I think just a better ground ball presence would help him immensely to like Nate Caddy style. Obviously, he's super athletic and hard to replicate, but Kako at his feet, and Caddy, and even him once the ball hits the deck, it's a formidable trio once they work it out and figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Some more ground ball. Would love to see some more ground ball efforts and from Liam. I think that could just take his game to the next level, and it's important because there's Kako down there, but there's not much else in terms of small, fleeting, buzzy small forward. So the talls are going to have to pick up their slack as well. So, all right. Well, I know we only have a small sample of work to go off for McMahon, but what was there one trait or habit that you saw in his game that if he doesn't knock that off, he's getting cold for Christmas and he's not going to start round one?
Interesting. I have not seen a single thing that makes me think he's getting ahead of himself in any way. It's quite the contrary, actually.
Or
We spoke
any
about before.
football, anything, any habits in his football that he's possibly doing that he could do less of.
Yeah, interesting question. It's a difficult one, as you mentioned, with the small sample size. Yeah, it's tough to assess that. I'm sorry, coming up blank a bit with that there, but yeah. What are your thoughts? I really want to hear what you have to say about that.
I mean, I probably think, and this is probably something he can add, not really take away, but he probably needs some more strength in terms of battling that the contested nature of his game, trying to get one up on his defenders. He's never going to be that big hulking 2-meter Peter frame, but if he can add a bit more bulk and add a bit more of that contested style rather than just getting pushed out too easily in the contest. by the likes of, the big hulking defenders would probably be what I would tell him to cut out. But also that's a bring in / cut out of his game by getting a bit bigger and stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're saying he's looking and ripping Nick during pre-season. Maybe that little period before the end of Christmas into the next year can hit the gym pretty hard and get some strength. As you mentioned, pretty good aerially, but yeah, can get nudged out of contest. So a lot like Nate Caddy, it'll eventually click for both of them. But I think, just a little bit more game sense in terms of one-on-one contests, especially. But you nailed it there. I completely agree with what you're saying.
Alrighty, well, we'll leave it there for today, Todd. Thank you so much for joining me for a little deep dive into Lee McMahon. Lots of work ahead and, well, a good problem to have in terms of competition for list spots. So thank you so much, and I'll see you again back for another couple of times.
Appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
See ya.